What was the turning point, Mary Ellen? If you go back and look at your life at this point, 2020 vision, when did the moment happen that put you on the path to become Treasurer of the United States, Treasurer of the state of Ohio?
Well, it was when a couple of people asked me to run for school board. And I got into politics then, and I won for the school board. I ran against 5 men, and then I ran for clerk of courts and lost. And then I ran for county treasurer and won, and then it was fine after that. Everything went well, but you know, the turning point was when I ran for school board. I really enjoyed it, and I just kept wanting to improve myself. That's sort of the way I felt.
Governor, the turning point. How'd you get to be governor? What set you on that path?
You know, many things. I went to a one-room school, my first 4 grades. First, second, third, and fourth grade. One teacher. There were 27 kids in the entire school. And my teacher's name was Mabel Keller. And she did a lot for me. I was a kind of an insecure, timid, frail kid. And she really encouraged me. But throughout my life, my teachers have meant so much to me, as well as my family. But you know, when I was a junior in high school, our class took a trip to Washington, D.C. And I'll never forget the experience of visiting the National Archives, where the great documents of our nation are kept and safely. And I was just so impressed. And so, as early as being a junior in high school, I really wanted to be a congressman. But there were a lot of things I did in between. I went to theological seminary. I became a United Methodist minister. I worked at a large child care facility. I taught at Shawnee State University. I became a psychologist. I worked for 10 years at the prison in Lucasville. And then I ran for Congress 4 times before I won.
Mary Ellen talked about losing the one election there. What's it like to lose an election?
Horrible.
Well, there it is.
Well, it's no fun, but let me tell you, I am in awe of our electoral system.
Yeah.
I always felt like Election Day was a magnificent occurrence, even when I lost, because it's a time when the people can express themselves and choose their leaders. And so I ran for Congress in 1976 and I lost. And again in 1978 and I lost. And again in 1980 and I lost. But I was never bitter about losing. I didn't want to lose. It wasn't fun, as Mary Ellen says. It hurts. But the people spoke, and I accepted what the people said. And oh my God, I wish people would accept what the people say today, and that we didn't have all this controversy about whether or not an election is free or fair. So I took 10 years off, and then I ran again, and I on my 4th time I won. On the 4th time I won. And then my 5th try I lost. And my 6th attempt to get to Congress I won. And my 7th and 8th, and I spent 12 years there. And then I was able to, to run for governor. But the point I'm trying to make, and the point I would like your listeners to really contemplate, Scott, is we have a precious system of self-governance in this country. We have a system where the people make the decision, and no politician, no special interest can take away or should take away the people's right to choose whoever they want to represent them in public office. That's the genius of our country.
When you were the sitting governor, you ran against John Kasich was the Republican. You were the sitting governor and didn't win that election. Going in that day, it was a very close election, very close. What was that day like? The day of the election.
Well, it was a busy day. I campaigned until the polls closed. I remember stopping in, I think it was in Newark, Ohio, as I was driving home to listen to what the results were. I was by myself. I did a lot of driving around by myself, even as governor, and so I remember the moment when I realized that I had lost, and strangely, I wasn't sad or angry. I was appreciative of the opportunity that I had had. And when I went up to the stage to make my concession speech, I wasn't bitter or angry. I was disappointed, obviously. But I'm going back, Scott, to our system. This country was founded upon the principle that the people make the final decision. And the people chose John Kasich instead of Ted Strickland. I wish they hadn't. I even think they made the wrong choice. But they had the right to make that choice, and I was responsible for accepting what the people had chosen to do.
When was the moment, the moment you knew you weren't going to win? What was the moment?
Well, I was sitting with my wife and some of my friends and my campaign staff, and we were watching the votes as they came in, and we knew where they were coming from, and we knew what parts of Ohio I was strong in and where Mr. Kasich was likely to be strongest in, and so on and so forth. And finally, it came down to the fact that we were going to fall very slightly short. And it was painful. It really was. But I accepted it. And any good, patriotic American who believes in our system of government will accept the will of the people.
Do you ever look back at that and say, if I would have done this, the outcome would have been different? The woulda, coulda, shouldas.
Well, when I was in office, I tried to do what I thought was right for the state, not necessarily what was right for me politically. And as I look back, I can identify some of the actions that I took that probably cost me the 70,000 or so votes that I lost by.
Is there one that sticks out?
One does. I wanted our kids in this country to have a school year at least as long as the international average. And so I tried to expand the school year by 2 days over a 6-year period of time. And I was strong on education. I loved teachers. I supported teachers. We passed an education reform bill that was judged by the Education Commission of the States as the strongest, most innovative, progressive education reform in America. But a lot of people didn't want to add those 2 days to the school year. And it was a little thing, but it was very big in the minds of some. And I think that may have been one of the reasons why I lost.
Do you